the fact that delays and things happen that will be out of your control, and there is no amount of planning that you can do, and it just will happen. Conditions that you have to get signed off pre-build, there's then conditions you have to get signed off just as you've started build, and then there's conditions you have to get signed off right at the end. Knowing that is going to happen ahead of starting the project alters your mindset very slightly.
Welcome to the Self Builders Podcast, the podcast that covers everything you need to know to get on the way to building your own house. We're brought to you by Mayflower Mortgage and Finance, the self-building finance specialist in the UK.
Welcome to another episode of the Self Builders Podcast with me, Sam Taylor, but no Mike Pawley this week. Mike is firefighting, unfortunately, and out there fighting the good fight, shall we say. Today, however, I'm delighted to have on as a guest Adam, who's on his own self-build journey. We're going to find out all about the journey that he is on, including some false starts and some of the process and challenges that he's going through. Adam, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Good to be here as well. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, not at all. Adam, we always start these things off for our listeners by asking our guests to paint a picture of the self-build journey, or what the property will be like, either now that it's finished or once it's finished. So, do you want to kick us off with a bit of an audio description of the dream?
Yeah, of course. So we're underway with our project at the moment. Towards the back end, fortunately, it has been a bit of a slog to get here, but we can sort of see the light now, which is good. But the building plot that we purchased about a year and a half ago now, I say building and plot. So the plot had essentially what I call an outbuilding on it that we bought from which will be our new neighbours. That building started life as a garage home gym with a couple of rooms for storage upstairs. So sort of sounds underwhelming, but it was quite a good structure initially. I had sort of some fixtures and fittings in it already. Plumbing and electrics was from the sort of host building, so something that we've had to disconnect along the way. So that's what it started life as, and when we finish, it should be a fairly reasonable size. We're not talking, sort of your grand designs type mansion self-builds. This is a fairly good size 3-bed family bathroom, downstairs shower, toilet property with
Amazing.
A front room, living room space, and then sort of a large kitchen dining area as well.
Okay, perfect. What part of the world are you in? Well, what part of the UK, should I say, are you in?
North Hampshire. So we sit between Reading and Basingstoke. It's a little sort of more rural. So yeah, that's why we moved. We moved from town into a more rural setting.
Amazing. And any experience with self-building before, or is this your maiden voyage?
Yeah, maiden voyage. Always had an interest in self-build. Probably sadly from too young an age. I took quite an interest in the typical TV programs and all that sort of things. I have no experience in construction or building. I like to consider myself handy.
Yeah,
I guess it depends who you ask, but I certainly no builder and no experience previously in self-build.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Well, firstly, thank you. I've got that in my head. That's good. Good picture painting. I like it a lot. So how did, let's talk about the plot. It was always a good place to start with the plot. You said that it's an existing structure on your soon-to-be neighbour's land. How did you come across it?
So we started our house hunt probably 2-3 years ago or so. And we were sort of looking around, and I wanted something that would, I guess, give us more external space. We were thinking of buying, a house that needed doing up, some sort of renovation project. But having always had this sort of half an eye and an ambition to build our own place and do a self-build, I was also looking around and searching for either plots that weren't on the market or looking for existing plots. This one, I'm going to guess it's what most people say. We sort of lucked out a little bit with it, where we viewed another house, put in an offer on another house with this particular estate agent. And we didn't get that one because it was when the market was being gazumped left, right and centre. So it went for significantly more than we could afford in the end. But this same estate agent had a plot which was 2 doors down from where we purchased this one from. And again, frustratingly, that one had just gone as I phoned him and said, what about this one? But he said, do you know what? If that's the area you're looking at, I may well have a contact. He knew our neighbours from a previous sale, I think. I think he sold them their house 20 years ago or something like that. He does a lot of the sale of plots and self-build stuff in the area, and he's quite well known. So he said, look, give me half an hour, let me make some calls and I'll give you a call back. Gave me a call back. I think we went down the same day potentially, and met with the guy, showed us round, and it sort of went from there.
Okay. Love at first sight?
Yeah.
It's funny those things. It's funny when that happens, isn't it? When you just see, and we hear this with other guests as well. They see a plot, and all of a sudden the imagination starts going, and they can see themselves there. They can see their future there, and amazing. So it was a knockdown rebuild.
No, not a knockdown.
Rebuild,
No. So we've utilised the existing building,
okay.
and then sort of essentially doubled its footprint. So it was sort of long and thin, and we've come out the sides of it to add in the extra space.
Did you need planning for extending it out or for doubling the footprint?
So it came with planning for a 2-bed, so very, very small extension out on one side. And we bought it knowing that, and then also knowing that there'd been a few plots along the same road that had approval for larger properties. I sort of figured that the likelihood of us being able to get an increase in planning, and not by a huge amount, we basically went larger on the one that already had planning, and then we did a smaller one on the opposite side as well to create this sort of cross-shaped building. And we talked to the people we were buying from about those plans up front to make sure that they were happy and they were sort of keen, because it's good to have that sort of neighbour buying as well. And they've been fully supportive of it, which has helped the planning process. The architects initially were more nervous, but maybe that's architects. I think because they'd gone through the initial planning process and they'd had to scale back some of their initial thoughts on the place, that they were more nervous that we wouldn't get it. But as I said, with other planning happening in the area, to me, it was sort of a, why not? Maybe that was naive of me. But, it isn't a huge sort of building project. And the bit that we were extending was already on hard landscaping anyway. So it's not like we were taking away greenery, we weren't taking away trees. So we were sort of quite fortunate from that side of it.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. No bat or newt surveys that would get in your way. Nothing like that.
No, fortunately not. No, I think because it had come with the existing planning, there was a lot of those boxes already ticked. So we went back with the additional planning with the support of the neighbours. And my wife is also from the local area. Her parents sort of a mile and a bit up the road as well. So we had support of locals, which really helps. Yeah,
of course. Amazing. So that's good. We understand about the plot. We understand about the planning and some nervousness around that. Talk to us about the design. Any challenges around the design at all?
I guess the challenge is because it was an existing building and trying to utilise that while keeping it within the boundaries of the plot. That was probably the trickiest bit. Putting in new services had to go all the way around the building because we wanted to move the bathroom from, not move the bathroom, there was only a toilet in it before. Put in the new family bathroom in the opposite side. That was probably one of the trickier points. But outside that, from a design perspective, less so. I think that there wasn't particularly any hurdles to go over with that.
What's the superstructure? And have you kept the same structure? I assume that you have, given that it's just almost like extension and kind of rather than knockdown. But talk to us a bit about the structure and what the add-ons were.
Yeah, exactly that. So original structure, block and brick. So sort of 9 or so courses of brick at the bottom, block from there upwards, and then it's clad, wooden clad. So it's sort of 90% wooden clad. So it looks from the outside sort of a bit barny, which is one of the things that I loved about it. And exactly as you said, we've kept that same structure, and it's not clad at the moment, but it will be clad using some of the stuff that we've taken off and then mixing in some new stuff as well.
Okay. And living on plot while this is going on, or utilising the parents a mile and a half up the road?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So, we live up the road at the in-laws. We do have 2 small kids, so that has its challenges as well. We don't live in the property with my in-laws. We are in the garden in a temporary caravan, which again adds to the fun. I use fun loosely of the build, but it's handy to be near enough. Have the access to all the amenities that we need, while being close enough to the plot that it's not time consuming when we need to visit, when there's questions from electricians, plumbers, whatever it might be, on certain stuff. We can nip down and we're there in 3-4 minutes, which is handy.
And I guess having that proximity and having those questions, I'm assuming that you're doing a fair amount of the project management yourself.
Yes, yeah, I am. I'll use that loosely because our builder is very good. I think we sort of we've got a really good guy there who is handling all of the subcontractors. He has a whole team of people that he's used on previous projects. So we're using his contacts and then just answering the questions as and when we need to. Obviously, I'm managing or initially all of the planning process along with the architects. I'm also doing the mains power installation, just because through my work I have quite a lot of experience in it, so it was easier to separate that out. And then the design sort of elements, all the internal stuff, is myself and my wife. I'm working with the builder with that.
Okay. And whereabouts are you on the timeline? Whereabouts are you on the journey, so to speak, in terms of are you sort of like 80% along the way? Are you looking to move in the next month or two? Where are you at? First fix, second fix?
Well, because we had a few hiccups along the way, probably if you'd asked me that question a few months ago, I wouldn't have liked to have given you an answer, because every time we told people an answer, another 3 months went by and everyone was going, have you not moved in yet? So, but no, things are a lot closer now. I reckon we're probably 85, 90% there now. Pretty much all the first fix is done. Kitchen is being installed today. Actually, should be finished today. And then it's a case of finishing the plastering upstairs, bathroom fittings. The first fix plumbing's done, so that's sort of just connections. And then we're talking the joys of painting, tiling, flooring, and that sort of stuff after.
Amazing. What would you, what if you could go back and talk to Adam a couple of years ago, what would be the 3 lessons? If you were going to take 3 lessons out, we're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but why not? What would be the 3 things that you could tell yourself a couple of years ago that may make things a little easier on this journey? And the reason I'm asking this is because we find that that's real value for our listeners, is actually learning from people who've been there and done it.
Yeah. I've not given it much thought because we're still sort of in the.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely fine. I think it's more just. I think one of the things would be. I don't know how to phrase it, so I'll just speak and hope it makes sense. The fact that delays and things happen that will be out of your control, and there is no amount of planning that you can do, and it just will happen. And I think it's just leading into that and knowing that is going to happen ahead of starting the project alters your mindset very slightly. I mean, I do have a project management background, but I have to say that hasn't helped really in any way whatsoever.
Okay. I love that honesty.
So yeah, I think it's just that no amount of planning could, if you don't know something, there is no amount of research that can bring it up in the first place. I don't think. Listening to these podcasts and listening or reading a lot of self-build stuff helps, but I think each build is very slightly unique to its area, to the design, to the builders, all of that sort of stuff. So that's definitely one thing. Cash flow, I'm pretty sure every self-build mentions that at some point. Cash flow is obviously king, and managing that a lot closer in the earlier days is probably what I should have done, rather than waiting to the back end to then work it all out, or make sure it's on track still. Not that it's been a problem. I have kept a track of it, but I think I should, in those earlier days, just kept a closer eye on it, I think. So yeah, cash flow is king. A third one. I'm struggling to think of a third one.
Yeah, that's right. The first two were so good, maybe you don't need a third. In terms of, have you gone much over budget?
Well, we haven't finished yet, so I can't say properly at the moment. So far, so good. Yes, but not significantly at the moment that it matters. So that's sort of what I meant when I said there's things you just don't know about. So a good example of sort of micro costs that start to add up. So we had particular covenants and whatnot, not covenants, conditions. Sorry, that's what I'm looking for. Imposed by planning that you have to get signed off at particular stages, and there's things like that I just had no sort of idea about at the time, and nor did I know that each condition or each batch of conditions that you want to get signed off comes with a cost. That cost isn't significant. In our region, you're talking £190 to get as many conditions signed off in one go as you can. But there's conditions that you have to get signed off pre-build. There's then conditions you have to get signed off just as you've started build. And then there's conditions you have to get signed off right at the end. So that's just 3 lots of £190 that you just didn't think about before the build because I didn't know that side of it. We've had a few overages with the build where things took a little bit longer than we'd anticipated. Installing the drainage was a little bit trickier because we hit a massive, we still don't really know what it is, but a big slab of concrete about half a metre under the ground in the front garden.
Really?
No, not a septic tank, thankfully, but and we managed to dig around it, so it wasn't too big. It was just a few extra days here and there. So far, it's sort of semi micro cost, nothing in the sort of tens of thousands, which has been good.
Sure. And any deals that you've managed to get hold of that have been, I know there's certain deals out there. I know that Mayflower do a deal with a self-build saver solution that offers discounts across loads of bits. That sounds like a plug. It wasn't. It was just to give you an example. Have you come across any kind of deals or good value that our listeners may be interested in? No is a perfect answer.
No is the right answer. We looked into them. The one that you mentioned with Mayflower, we looked into, but at the time, because the build was going to be starting so quickly, there was no point in putting the cash that we had available for the build into any sort of saving or offset or anything like that. Probably in hindsight, having known that we wouldn't start the build for a year after we'd bought it, that probably would have been a good option. But it's one of those things that's just so unknown at the time. That it just wasn't an option.
Okay, good. Okay, well, look, Adam, that was insightful. Like, I feel as if we've got. What was the other question I was going to ask? There was something that's, and this will be one of those cuts in the audio that we were talking about. In fact, I'm going to time this out. 1857, which is when I think I started at and ahhing. What was the fucking question? Damn it. I am going to need a question now as well. What was the question? It was around... God, my mind's gone completely blank.
Anything about delays or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, we could go for delays and then wrap up. I think. Yeah. Okay. So what's the time now? So we've got 19:50. So, were there any delays that really kind of pushed things out or made other things stop or anything along those lines?
Yeah, a couple along the way. The conditions, the thing I mentioned earlier, that was one of them. So one of the conditions that we couldn't start any building or have any deliveries of any kind on site was until we'd got the fencing to the left and rear of the property agreed, and also the hard landscaping for car park spacing, essentially. And that's one of the things sort of I wasn't aware of at the time about how long it takes to get those conditions signed off. So you have to work with tree protection people. You have to work with landscapers to get the design right, and then you have to make sure that that's incorporated. That the local environment is incorporated into that, so it's not a 8-foot fence or completely out of character for the area. And that process, I think, took something like 12-ish weeks to get it all signed off before we could do anything at all. No deliveries, no building work could start until that happened. So that's instantly 3 months. It's got a lost effect.
Like 6, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the sort of the frustrating unknown. You buy the place, you think, right, we're ready to start now. Let's get going, and then you go, nope, I've got to wait 3 months before I can do anything. And I get it from a planning point of view, from a local environment point of view. It's good to get that done. It's just one of those things that you just don't know about until you're in the project or you've got prior knowledge of it. So that was one thing. Then when we were doing the additional planning, obviously there's a whole planning process you have to go through. We wanted to get some of the conditions signed off at the advice of the architects, like, say, the hard landscaping, the fencing, get that up to give neighbours privacy, give us place to, get deliveries, put skips without ruining, tearing up and making the whole thing a mud bath. So we did all of that. Then we submitted the planning, which what we probably should have done is submitted the planning straight away. But again, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So we waited 3 months to get the conditions signed off, started that work, and then we started on the or submitted the planning shortly after that. And again, you've got another 3-month wait as a bare minimum, right, in the planning world to then get that signed off and then start work on the larger extension. There was some internal works we could do in the meantime, where the downstairs was the same, no matter if we went for the 2-bed, where they currently had planning with, or the larger 3-bed that we were hoping for. So it wasn't like we were completely stood still, but there was only probably maybe a month's worth of work there, while we then had to stop again for a couple of months and wait. Fortunately, the planning went through fairly easily. No hiccups really with that. A couple of to and fro with the initial submission, but after that was all ironed out with the planning guys, then it did sail through really after that. So, but that was 6 months.
I guess that goes back to your mindset thing in terms of having a bit of a resilience that entering into this, it's not going to be smooth sailing. There are going to be smooth sailing. There are going to be things that kind of like push you back and test even the most patient of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we hit the sort of Christmas, winter time period. The builder was on other projects, so we then had another small wait. Thankfully, not too long. It was probably maybe a month and a half after we got the planning, went back to our builder and said, right, we're ready to crack on. What can we do? He wrapped up those final couple of projects he was on and then came across to us. So, we sort of burnt, 6, 7, maybe more months, almost twiddling our thumbs.
Wow. So what's next? Obviously, the kitchen's in now. How? Yeah. What does the next few steps look like until you're actually moving in with the family?
Well, next week is mains power installation happening. So that's another quite big milestone. Getting our own electricity connection there. So that'll be good. Water shouldn't be too far off of that either. And then it's onto the sort of internal, final fix, decorating, flooring, all of that sort of stuff. So that will hopefully be more fun. Maybe not the painting, because we'll be doing a lot of that stuff ourselves. But sort of seeing the property now come together, that's sort of the final exciting bit, I think.
Amazing. Adam, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming along and being a guest on the Self Builders podcast. And yeah, good luck with it. I hope it all goes well. There's no more delays, fingers crossed. And, and you're in before Christmas. Let's go for that.
Adam, yeah,